to go ahead and jump into the message today. Last week I started this series called The Best Church Ever. Everyone say, Best Church Ever.
Best church ever.
And that's a statement. It's real important that we understand this. That is not a statement of pride, like, hey, we're the best church. That is not a statement of, we're competing with other people. It's a statement of simply this. We're getting back to the best church ever, and the church that Jesus designed and kicked off from the very beginning. That it was the very best, and we believe that we need to continue to maintain the very best church and still continue the mission of Jesus, right? Yeah. And so that's what we want to focus on, especially as we're moving forward. We have a transition, we have a process that we're going through into our new space, that we want to remember what the church is about. We want to remember what the church is about and what we're supposed to do as a group, but also individually. So last week, I hit the ground running with, we're going to move from casual to committed, that we're not going to take this church thing as a casual thing. It's kind of something I believe in or somewhere I go. But man, we take this commitment like serious. And I challenged you with this. You can see the clipboards on the wall. That man, if you haven't been serving that much, man, here's where commitment becomes really commitment is when there's a sacrifice involved. That maybe you've been coming to church and you've been casually coming, but now you're saying, look, I want to be committed and I want to go to another level and I want to give of my time to serve people. And some maybe we've kind of cut back or we're just making sure we do a little bit. I want to challenge you. Hey, this is a great time to step up and sacrifice. Say, I'm going to be committed. This is my church. This is my church, and I'm going to own it. And I want to make sure that I'm a part of helping people say yes to Jesus. That's what it's about. It's not about filling holes. And one thing that was so important that I shared, and it's just some comments that have been made as we're going into this building. It is, if you haven't been there, it's much larger than where we are right now. And I'm excited about the opportunities, and we're kind of customizing it and making it, to fit our ministry. But one thing in going in there, it can be so large that I've heard a lot of people say, "Man, this is so big. Man, we're going to be so small." And I get it, it's a kind of a comment of concern or, uncertainty, not sure. So we're kind of like getting an observation mode and we're just looking at, man, it's going to be so huge. And even maybe we say that it's going to be empty. Would you help me fill it? Yeah. Would you help me fill it? Would you help me by attending church every Sunday and say, I'm going to be there and we're going to fill it? Would you help me fill it by serving constantly and finding ways to get involved and connect with people? Would you help me fill it by inviting people and make sure people are coming in? Not only that they just attend one time, but they come and they say yes to Jesus, and every day they say yes to Jesus and they trust God with their life. We can fill it and expand the kingdom of God. That's what God wants us to do. That is the mission, and that is what we want to move, and that's how we become a part of the best church ever. And so today, we're going to go from another level. We're going to go ahead and look at from obscurity to obvious. From being obscure to being obvious. It's kind of like, we know about the Christian world or what the church is supposed to be about or what it's about, the message. But man, how do we get from that to, it's obvious what they're doing. It's obvious what the church is about. It's obvious this love. And so how do we find that? That's what we want to look at today, that we're not obscure, this love, this God thing. But man, we're so obvious that lives are being changed. Now, one thing that, I don't like to do very often is talk about some strengths or highlights of some things I've accomplished. I'd rather very much connect with you on just weaknesses and areas that we're all trying to work on. But there was something really cool that happened recently that I thought was so powerful and I wanted to share. I've been meeting with vendors and people to just line up and get us moving forward in this building and things we need to provide and install in our church. And there was one gentleman where I met with him about part of the project. And when we met together, he says, "Man, I know you from somewhere." And he's like, "You're so recognizable. And, I know I've seen you before or met you." And so I'm like, I don't know. And we're asking questions. And as we're talking and going over what we needed to go through, he kept saying that. And so anyway, we left. He still couldn't figure it out. And a couple weeks later, we met again, and he said this: I got it. I know how I know you and recognize you. It's Starbucks. And you know, it kind of wasn't a surprise. But there was a meaning behind it, because he said, and I'm going to tell you why I remember you. I'm going to tell you why I remember you in Starbucks. He said, there's this guy that's homeless around the community in the neighborhood, and he never talks to anybody. And he's there, he avoids people, and it's obvious he's in need, and he just said he's there, but he's just away from everybody, and no one is able to help him because he doesn't want help, and it's really a sad case. And he said, I walked into Starbucks one day, and you guys were sitting down having a conversation. You guys were talking, and what's so cool is it was obvious to this gentleman. It was obvious to this gentleman that there was something going on. It wasn't this, he found out I was a Christian and he found out I was a pastor, but it wasn't an obscure thing. It was like, man, something is happening right here. And my hope is this, because he's not a believer, because he's not a Christian, that he would say, this was so obvious, and this is so like what this Jesus is supposed to be about. I hope that someday he's able to say, I'm going to trust Jesus with my life because I see what God can do. And that's what the church should be about, that it is so obvious, the love that we have. And how do we move from being obscure in love to being so obvious in our love for other people? And here's the thing that can kind of bother me a little bit, is I wonder about how much my love maybe isn't obvious. How the love that I show maybe isn't really seen at all. It's not obvious. I think that even for our church, like how obvious is the love in our church for other people. And I think about this, and I would encourage you to think about, imagine if you invited someone, they came to church for the first time. What do you want them to experience? What do you want them to see? What do you want them to have? Don't you want them to come in and there is something so obvious to them that the presence of God is there. The love is so real. That's what I want. I want them to feel that. I want you to be able to bring people in. It's like, man, there is such a thick love in our church that people just warm up and they say yes to Jesus. That's what we want to see. That's what our leader was like. That's what Jesus was like. And he said something so interesting in the book of Acts. After Jesus had died and was crucified on the cross and he had risen from the dead, the Bible talks about in the book of Acts, he went and showed himself to a lot of people so they would see that he was raised from the dead. And then it goes into this scripture here in Acts chapter 1, verse 3. It says, to whom also he showed himself alive. He was revealing himself after his passion. Everyone say his passion. After his passion, by many infallible proofs, undeniable proofs. Like this had to happen. This did happen. Being seen of them for 40 days and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God and what was happening and what was moving forward, the best church ever. Said after his passion. Other versions say this. After his suffering. After his suffering, what caused him to suffer? It was this heavy burden of love for us. That he was willing to go on the cross and suffer and say, I obviously love you. This is not obscure. It is obvious. I'm laying down my life for you, for your future and who you are. And it is my passion. And so if we're going to be followers of Christ, it's got to be obvious that we're willing to we're going to be passionate about this. See, his passion was his purpose, and his purpose was love. It wasn't about for him to feel fulfilled and like have a fulfilling life. It was, I love them, so whatever it takes, whatever I need to do, it's going to be obvious, and they're going to be drawn to the Father and have eternity in heaven and have a true life living now. Amen? That's what Jesus was about. And so how do we get there? How do we move forward to where we have that same kind of love that's obvious? There's a story in the Bible we're going to read, and it's in the book of Luke chapter 19. And what's happening here is there's a love that is so obvious with what Jesus is doing, but it's just some practical things. It's not Jesus isn't running around saying, I love you, I love you. He's not doing that. You don't hear that at all. But there are some things that he does that it's obvious, like he's got a love for this guy. And we're going to look at this story of a guy named Zacchaeus. Everyone say Zacchaeus. Was a wee little man. Was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. How many of you know you just had a flashback to Sunday school when you're little? Come on, all right. Anyway, so we're going to pick up in this. I had to do that. I had to. Luke chapter 19, it says this. He, Jesus, entered Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector. I'm going to explain that in a minute. And he was rich. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not because he was small in stature. Homeboy was vertically challenged. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into the sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. And when Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, the other people, those who were there, they all grumbled. They all grumbled. He has gone be the guest of a man who is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold, 4 times. And Jesus said to him, Today something happened in this house. Today someone had a turnaround. Today someone had a 180. Today salvation has come to this house, since he also is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. If that isn't a picture of love, and of obvious love, not obscure, I don't know what is. But Jesus clearly had a love for this man, a man who did not have love or was not feeling love and was searching for more. Now, because Jesus was so obvious, we have to look at ourselves and see how obvious am I in my love for other people. So I want to ask you this question. I want you to have a kind of a delayed response. I don't want you to answer it right away in your mind and automatically, but I want you to just listen to the voice that's inside of your head when I ask you this. Do you love people? I want you to think about that. Walking through your day, living your life. Do you love people? We have loved ones. They're not always ones we love, but we have loved ones. We have those who are there. We have people around us, but I wonder how much we actually, in our mind or in our heart, we say, I'm going to love this person today. I'm going to make sure this person feels love. Imagine yourself being in that group or being in that crowd or being with the people that you get around or in the environment that you're in. And my question would be this. Can you imagine if you were there and you just said, I'm going to show you love today. I'm going to show you a love so obvious. I'm going to show you a love so out of this world that you're going to want Jesus. Now, I don't suggest you say that out loud, okay? I'm not saying that, but in your mind, in your heart, that you would be able to see when you're with someone, say, you know what? This person needs the love of God in their life, and I'm going to love them. And I'm going to do obvious things. I'm going to do things to where they see it. I'm not going to shout it out. But I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to be deliberate about saying, I am going to show an obvious love to this person. And when they leave, they're going to know that there was something different, that they feel a different way because somebody loved them. Even to the point that those around them would say, something's happening here. I just see the interaction and what's going on because someone made a decision to love someone. And so we have to have the understanding of this. If we're going to have this obvious love for other people, if we're going to be the best church ever, and we're going to have an obvious love in our community, in our city, with our friends and with our family, with our enemies, is that we have to have a great understanding, and it would be this. Love is a choice, not a voice. Yeah. Love is a choice. Everyone say choice. Love is a choice, not a voice. And what I mean by that is this. Hey, look, everybody loves to be told, I love you. We love it when people tell us that. But you know what we love even more? It's when we see it. When it's demonstrated, when I know it's obvious. Man, you really do love me. Man, you really do care. And you and I make a decision a deliberate decision if we're going to love people or not. You're not going to just feel it and love is going to poof, it's going to happen. And it's not something you can just say. It's something that in your heart you make a decision and say, I've got a choice to make today. I've got a choice to make for the rest of my life. And my choice is going to be to love people because I don't want my love, I don't want my Christianity, I don't want my religion to be obscure. I want it to be obvious. I want it to be plain sight. I want people to understand when they have been loved, and I don't want it to be vague or it's there. There's this Christian message of love. Jesus was much more than obscure. He was obvious. And so today I just want to run through a few things that I think are so, they stand out in this story, in this interaction that Jesus has with Zacchaeus. And I want us to take these, and I think if we have this mindset and we're able to apply these things, I think you might find yourself now making decisions, now living out the choice to really love other people, because love is a choice, it's not a voice. And the first one is this. This is so important. This is even so hard. Is care about people who are different than you. Yeah. Care about people different than you. And this isn't an easy thing to do. I mean, think about it. Care about people who have different political views as you, than you. Yeah. Care about people even if they're a Democrat. Care about people, hey, even if they are a Republican. Care about people and how they voted, and only and be limited to that. Care about people who have a different religion than you, different. You just kind of treat them at arm's length. I know this. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. If there's anybody who needs care, it's those who are far off and following a different direction. I know I can't just treat people different by looking at, their lifestyle, and inside of us we have this indignation that says, this is so wrong, I can't believe it, and we stand off. No, can we love them even though they're different? Yeah. Can we love them and say, I don't care how you live, I don't care about this stuff, I'm just going to love you. I want it to be obvious that Jesus is Lord of my life, and Jesus can change your life. Yeah. Even right now, what's pretty practical and, like in our face, relevant, is can you love people who you think are taking coronavirus to extreme? Can you love people who have made it to where you don't have toilet paper? You are thinking of options, and I don't have. Can you love people in that way? And maybe can you love people that you think they're being cynical, that you think maybe don't care right now? Can you love people different than you? Because, man, what an obvious thing when someone, I know they don't agree with this, I know they don't like this, but man, why are they doing this? Why are they treating me this way? Here is Zacchaeus, and it says he was a tax collector. Now, what made him so terrible in this time, and part of Israel, and he was a Jewish man, was that he would go and collect taxes for the Roman government. That was like treason. That was like betrayal. And not only that, to top it off, he would go and he would take a little extra for himself on the side. And it said this, he was the chief tax collector. He was like the high-level tax collector. And, it's easy for us to begin to judge people by who they are and what they are and how they are. Nobody liked this dude. Nobody cared to be friends with him. Nobody wasn't inviting him over for dinner because you know why? They were looking at the labels. They were looking at the status. Because he was different. The way he's bad. He's wrong. And then it said he was rich. Sometimes, I'm going to tell you, we see people that may be well off and we're not sure that they really need Jesus. We're not really sure how much God could help their life because it just seems like they have it all together. And can we love people even though we may not see that? Can we love them even though they're a little different and we're not sure, but we know this, I know this, Jesus wants their soul. Jesus wants their eternity. Jesus wants healing for them. That's what he wants. And so it's important for us to say, I'm going to love people who are different than me. I'm not going to just stay in my crowd and those who agree with me. The next one is this, is that we need to show concern for needy people. We need to show concern for needy people because it's not a choice, it's a voice. There's something so obvious that was happening in Zacchaeus' heart, where it showed that he was needy. It said this, he was running, he was seeking, and he was climbing to see Jesus. I'm not talking about practical needs. There was a spiritual soul need inside of him that he was running. And man, what is this guy about? It said that he wanted to learn who Jesus was. He's trying to learn, man, what difference could he make in me? Zacchaeus, what are you starving after if you have to run after this guy and it looks like you have everything together? There was a soul need that was there. Yeah. And we need to be understanding of the fact that there are people around us who are hurting. They need people to care. They need people to look after them and have concern for them and not just say, yeah, I know he's needy. He was the face in the crowd. That's all he was. And no one was able to help him. No one did help him at all. They left him out. Now, here's the thing about needy people. Needy people are hurt. Needy people are hurt. And hurt people, you know this, they hurt people. Wounded dogs bite. And wherever we're around needy people and around hurting people, we're going to be treated certain ways. And some of us are like, well, forget them. I ain't helping them. Look at the way they. But you know what? If you're going to be mission-minded and love-minded and make a decision to love people, you have to be aware of this, that hurt people are going to be angry people. Hurt people can be mean people. Hurt people can talk filthy at you. They can call you names. Hurt people can do this. Hurt people can be hateful. Hurt people can be people that betray you and turn on you and talk about you behind your back. And they don't. You want to know why? Because needy people hurt people and hurt people. They don't know how to get well. But we have this place to where we decide if we're going to go ahead and make the choice that we're going to love people the way they need to be loved, and so it's obvious. And so we speak life into them. We want them to be well. So you know what we do? We look for ways to lift their life. Yeah. To lift their life, not desert their life, because they want to be healed. They don't want to say that. Zacchaeus, we wanted to be healed. He wanted to be changed. He wanted to be accepted. He wanted to be changed and different. And you know what we do? We come in and we just encourage people and we build them up. The book of Proverbs says this, in the tongue is the power of life and death. You have power in your mouth. Yeah. You have power in your mouth that when people are hurting and when they're needy, to be able to come and say, and able to come and build them up and lead them to Jesus. You have that power to do that. So we have to show concern for other people. Another thing that we we're able to identify and pull out of this is that we have to give special treatment to people. We have to give special treatment to people. We have to be willing to go out of our way for other people. It said this about Jesus and what was happening. It said that he went over to the place where Zacchaeus was, and then he said this, I'm going to come to your house. All these other people, they think they're deserving of it, and some of them may be, and all these other people have reasons I should, but I want you to know, Zacchaeus, you couldn't come to me, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to show you the love that you need, and that is what he desperately desired, and he needed, and Jesus was making it obvious to him. See, what happens is this, we need to get in the world of other people. When you love people, check this out in a practical way. This is where it really stretches us to love people and to make that deliberate decision. Is that you're able to just say, hey, how are you doing? You hear the problems of people when they're talking and when they're... that you'd be able to say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Can I help you? You know this, is that you would be able to step into their world and just say, hey, I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do. You know when you can see the needs that someone has and things are being, the balls are being dropped and things may be falling apart, say, hey, let me take that for you. I'm going to get that. That's an obvious love that's there. And even greater, this is where our faith goes to another level and maturity in our faith, is when we say, you know what, how can I pray for you? How can I pray for you? It may not even be, I've done this before in public places. How can I pray for you? I can pray for you now, or if you want me to pray in my private time, I can do that. But I want to pray for you, and I want to know how I can. And to be able to offer that and say, hey, I've been praying for you. How are you doing? You know what I think is a great sign of the best church ever? Not only doing that one-on-one, and it's so powerful, But what a great thing if we were to walk into church on Sunday and left and right, we just see people pulling others aside. Hey, I just want to pray for you. God put you on my heart. Or we see someone hanging their head down and we just walk over and say, hey, I want to pray for you. Or we're looking for opportunities to say, I want to minister to you and I want to pray for you. I want to give you some special treatment today. I'm not coming in here to just say I'm coming on fumes and Pastor Dave better bring something. He better lift me up. There better be some good worship and Pastor Steve better light it up today. No, we come in and say, I'm here to give someone some special treatment because God wants to use me. I want to have an obvious love. Something that we've got to do to say, I'm going to give special treatment to other people. That's what Jesus did. He said, hey, Zacchaeus, meet you at your house, dude. He didn't do that. He came over to him and said, hey, tell me how to get there. Let's go. What a great thing. What a great type of love, an obvious love that's there to ignore everybody else in the crowd, and he went to him. The next thing we have to do is that we have to go all out for others. We have to be willing to go all out for others. Jesus, I want you to see this. Jesus is doing something so special and powerful and obvious and looking past all the good people and having it all together. And he's going for the one down and out that really, really is looking and searching and climbing and running. And obviously there's a desperation that is there. And while he is doing this, it says this, and they all grumbled. They all grumbled. They all grumbled. You know what they did? They didn't go all out for him. You know what they did? They went all in for themselves. They didn't go all out and say, oh man, what a great thing. Hopefully there's a life change. Hopefully we can see something different. He's going to get this love and this miraculous touch of God in his life. No, you know what it was? They started looking inward. And how's this impacting us, Jesus? Well, you're leaving us out. He's done this, but man, are you kidding me? And it says they were grumbling. And that's because sometimes if we're not careful, we lose the obvious type of love in our life. And I think maybe this is where we mix up our message with people and we become obscure, is because we're looking at our needs first and we're not even showing an obvious love to other people. We're not all out, we're all in. And these people grumbled. You want to know why? Because they had their own self-interest. They had their own ideals. They had their own opinions. They had their own goals, and they had all the things that were me. And we have to be so careful if we're going to be the best church ever, a part of the best church ever. We need to be all out and not be sitting back and saying, well, how's this going to affect our church? Well, what about us? What about my kids? No, we say, I'm going to have an obvious love. I'm going to make a choice. We're not going to just talk about reaching the city. We're not going to just, it's going to be obvious we love the city. We love our neighbors. We love those around us. And we're never going to look in and say, I'm going to think of how this is affecting me. No, I'm going to go all out for other people. Can I get an amen? Amen. This is so important. This is what it's about. And these people, they grumbled. Are you kidding me, man? Can't believe he would do that. You know, one area that my wife and I, we fight a lot about this. We're not proud of it, but we have never been able to solve it or overcome it. And the whole entire time of our marriage, sometimes it's good, but it comes up again, and it sneaks this little evil head up. And it's whenever we get in the car, we can't agree on the temperature. This can get like, are you kidding me? And, getting frustrated with each other. She likes it hot. As a matter of fact, she has said this, and she is proud of this. She likes it when it's burning her face. You ask her, she'll say that when it's melting off. She just loves the heat where it burns her face literally. And me over here, I'm just like, man, I just like to be cool. I don't like that. And so you know what we do back and forth? She's like, well, if you want to be cool, take your jacket off. Take your sweater off. And I'm over here, say, if you want to be warm, put on another jacket, put on a sweater. And we're going back and forth, and she's trying to get her condition for her, and then I'm trying to get my condition for me. And if we're not careful and we're not all out for people, my love for others is going to be conditional. It won't be a conditional love. How's this going to affect me? Well, I don't have time. Well, I can't this. Well, if you knew what I had going on. Now it's all about condition. When we say, wait a minute, it's commitment, it's sacrifice. And this is why I pushed so hard last week about not being casual with this thing and this assignment that God has given us. That we wouldn't treat this like nothing, but you know what we would do? We say, I'm committed, and it would be obvious. That's why I challenge you. Like if you're not serving very much, and you're just serving a little, that you would sign up on the clipboard and say, I'm stepping up, and I'm going to do more. I'm going to make it a sacrifice. I'm going to be committed. Or even if you're not serving at all, I've been casual, I've been come in, I enjoy the church. Would you join our mission? Would you go ahead and serve on Sundays? We want to be a place, especially on Sunday morning, when people come in and it is so obvious that people are committed to the love of God and giving that love away. So I'm challenging you, even with inviting people to church, that you would say, you know what? I can't just walk by these people anymore. I remember not too long ago, I had someone, I was meeting up with a kind of a business partner of somebody, and the person in our church said, hey, Pastor Dave, man, if you can get this person to come to church, they really need to come. And this is a while back. And they said they really need to come. They're going through a lot. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'll look for the opportunity. And finally I found an opportunity. And when I was talking to them, they said this, oh, I didn't know they go to church. Oh, they I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I've been given an assignment here. I'm coming home to I'm coming here to just kind of tee it off and hit a home run here and get you to come. And it's got to be obvious. It's got to be obvious when we walk in the room, Jesus walks in the room. Yeah. It's got to be obvious that we're Jesus with skin on. That's what people have to see. I'm going all out. I'm going all after everything for you. Are you giving your all? The last one is this. We never give up on people. Love never gives up on people. This is what was happening with the people around him. Not only did they grumble, this is what came out of their mouths. Dude, can you believe this? He's staying with a sinner. That's kind of my version. I had a little bit in. But he's eating with the sinner. That dude is so dirty. He has done all of us wrong. He's been cheating and taking and all these things. He has done us so wrong, and Jesus is with him right now. Doesn't Jesus know he's a lost cause? He's a lost cause. You know what? It's just going to go back to the same thing. And even if it did, what if Jesus went and was in his house and Zacchaeus went back to the same thing? He didn't change. Does that mean he deserves less of love? Or does that mean, you know what, we still have to give an obvious love? And I want you to know that not giving up on people and loving people through everything, that's hard work. It's hard work to love people and make it a choice and not just a voice. Sure, I love people. It's interesting. I don't know if you've ever caught on to this, but it's actually like, practice that happens is with politicians, maybe when they're running for office, or even when there's a national disaster, something like that, is that the officials will kind of come out, or politicians will come out to kind of be boots on the ground. And when they do that, they want to, present themselves, give the perception of, hey, I'm with you, hey, I'm here for the hard work, and, they want to give the perception that they're blue collar, and so they'll do this. They lose the jacket, they take off the tie, and they go and they roll up their sleeves, because they want to give the perception of, hey, love can't be a perception. Yeah. Love can't be obscure. Love has to be obvious, and here's where it gets hard, and here's where we don't give up. When we have this mentality, I am so tired of doing everything for this person. I'm so tired. I don't even know if they deserve the love that I'm giving them now. I'm so tired of loving them to where there's not even any change going on. Why should I do this? Maybe they are a lost effort, a lost cause. We pursue people. We never stop pursuing people. Jesus never stops pursuing you. You know what else we don't do? We don't tolerate people. I'm up to here with you. I don't tolerate. Yeah, I'll go do it, but I'm going to tell you something. We don't tolerate people. Jesus doesn't tolerate us. He loves us, and it is obvious. And so I love when it's awkward. I love when it's frustrating. I love when everything inside of me says, oh, come on, are you kidding me? I still love anyways. Even though love is hard, we never give up on people. Never give up on the people in your life and loving them just the way they are. Sure, maybe they do you dirty, or maybe there's some things you don't like about them. Maybe they took your toilet paper. I don't know. But still love them anyways. We don't give up on them. And toilet paper's a serious deal right now. There's this t-shirt. Don't be stealing our toilet paper here either. We put that on lockdown, okay? Got the safe and the whole deal. No. There's this shirt that I love that some athletes are wearing right now, and I like it because it's like grit. It's like grit. And it just kind of reflects of, you want to be great and you want to do well, then this is what it takes. And it says these shirts. It says, work hard, nobody cares. Don't try to get everybody to do. If you want it bad enough, who cares what anybody else, or if you get acknowledgement, work hard and it'll pay off later. Because nobody cares. I want us to have this mentality. Love hard, God cares. Love hard. It is hard. It is not easy. But it will be so obvious when they have been unloved by other people, when no one has gone out of their way for them, when they come in and they're hurt and they're banged up and they got things coming out of their mouth or attitude that's there, and we love them the way they are. That's hard work, but we don't give up on people. In 1 Corinthians 13, it says this: love never fails. Love never quits. Love never stops. Love never ends. That is what love is. And so we look at ourselves and we say, what kind of love am I going to have for people? Are you going to have an obvious love? It's not going to just automatically happen. It's got to be a determination. It's got to be something you do. And this has got to be our goal. And I'm just about to close this. This has got to be our focal point. This has got to be the direction we're going. And it's simply this. My assignment in life, in loving people, my assignment, my mission, is to love people to Jesus. It's to love them to Jesus. That there would be such a real, authentic, pure love in my heart. That people would see that I forgive when I think I have a good reason to judge and hold a grudge. That I would go and extend myself. It would cost me maybe financially, or it cost my time. It would be, but I'm going to love them so much that they're going to find Jesus, and Jesus is going to change their life. So the question for you is this: who in your life needs obvious love? Think about that for a second. Who in your life needs an obvious love? Not obscure, yeah, I'm going to love him, pray for him. Go get it, God. But this obvious love, and here's the deal. What probably happened right now is someone difficult passed through your mind. You're like, all right, I'll take a lighter case. Let me kind of work up to that, God. You know, I'm maturing and growing in this deal. The most obvious results, the most obvious change is when you say, I'm going to do the hard work because God cares. And this is going to be such a radical shift in the life of this person. Because I said, it doesn't matter how bad the case is. I'm going to love. Who is that person in your life? Will you make a decision and say, I'm making the choice today. I'm deciding that every day when I get up or when I go into that circle, or maybe it's someone, you think of someone in different circles in your life and environments and people you work with or people you play with, whatever it is. You say, that person, when I get there, I'm going to tell you something. Right now, I'm making a choice. I'm going to love them in a way they've never been loved before. Come on. Now, some of us, we hear this and it's maybe kind of difficult to get there because we're not feeling so loved. But we just don't feel like our tank is full. Don't wait for your tank to get full. Let God start filling the tank. 1 John 4 says this, 4:16 says this: God is love. You need more love in your life? You need more God in your life. That's who He is. You want to be able to have this love and feel loved and not feel like I got to get love, but and running out and getting things from other people. You know what? It comes down to where you just say, you know what? God, if I can just have more of you, then I can give more to them. Love, if I can just have more of you and me, love, you spill over into other people. And I don't want it to be some obscure, vague type of love in this message that I talk about. I want it to be seen. I want lives changed. That is what the best church ever is like. And you and I can become that if we make the decision to love people to Jesus. Would you close your eyes for a minute? I want to